Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
We are just under 48 hours away from marking the one-year anniversary of the disappearance of Savannah Greywind. Greywind was 8 months pregnant at the time she disappeared from her North Fargo home. She was later found by kayakers in the Red River, heavily wrapped in plastic, duct tape, and stuck on a tree in the water. Savannah's baby is now in the custody of her father. The two charged with killing Savannah are William Hain and Brooke Cruz. Cruz has been sentenced to serve life in prison. Supporters of Greywind want the community to honor her by wearing red. Valley News Team's Rose Itzkovitz explains.
Jessica Miller didn't know Savannah Greywind personally, but she says Greywind's death impacted her.
Where Savannah had lived is just around the corner from my home. And that shouldn't matter, and yet it does when it happens in our community.
For her, the tragedy hit close to home.
When we feel a connection to the horrendous things that people might go through, but the suffering and tragedy that people experience, that shouldn't happen to anybody.
This Sunday, supporters of Greywind's family asked the Fargo community to wear red and honor Savannah Greywind's life following her disappearance on August 19th of last year. And Miller, a Fargo intern pastor, has her own plan.
There is a Wear Red Sunday for awareness. We will particularly have some of these red ribbons, and we'll invite people to name wishes or prayers for the missing and murdered Indigenous women particularly.
The church previously invited members to write wishes on ribbons to hang on their wishing tree.
For safety, for unity, for justice.
And this Sunday, anyone can come and write a wish regarding Greywind's tragedy to honor and remember her.
Anniversaries are important, a ritual around that. So if it's marking it with wearing a red shirt or a red light bulb or a red ribbon or whatever it is, that's a way to mark something significant that happened in somebody's life, in the life of our community.
And of course, to signify action for a better future.
But it's also then what comes next.
In Fargo, Rose Itzkovitz, Valley News Live.
And coming up tonight on Valley News Live at 6, we'll have more for you about Sunday's upcoming Wear Red Day in remembrance of Savannah Greywind. Fargo police need your help finding a man who's been missing for 2 days. Police are looking for this man, 22-year-old Cody Watson. He is 6'2", about 340 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He was last seen in the 300 block of 6th Avenue South on August 15th. Police also say Watson has multiple fingers missing from his right hand. If you have any information on Watson, call this phone number, 451-7660. As we head into the weekend, we're still in a hot and smoky weather pattern. How should we expect that to continue into this evening and longer?
Yes, it will. In fact, the smoke you can see quite clearly on the visible satellite imagery behind me as this milky gray stuff covering the ground. This is on the black and white scale. We do see a few high clouds drifting over from the west. There is air quality advisory or alert for all of Minnesota as we go into the weekend. 81 in Fargo. Look at the heat out to the west, though. Glendive, Montana, and Williston in the mid-90s. A few showers developing all the way to the north and west of us. So it looks very quiet for the evening tonight. Temperatures slipping down into the low 80s and mid-70s as we head to the dark hours. There will be some smoke in the forecast for the weekend, but there'll be some significant change coming our way as we go through the weekend as well. Details on all that in a few minutes.
Thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
It's Friday, and that means it's time for a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. Police say 19-year-old Marcus Sua is wanted in 4 local jurisdictions for conspiracy to commit burglary, probation violation on an aggravated assault charge, being a minor in possession, and failing to comply with a court order. His picture is up on your screen right now. You can call police if you have any information. A man accused of illegally possessing an arsenal of weapons has pleaded guilty in federal court today. 46-year-old Chad Munson from Wilmer, Minnesota, was arrested during a January 30th raid of his rural Kandiyohi County home by Drug and Gang Task Force agents. A federal grand jury in June indicted him on numerous firearms violations related to an arsenal of machine guns, ammunition, silencers, and pipe bombs. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Munson pleaded guilty on Thursday. A sentencing date wasn't immediately set. It was an unsettling situation in Battle Lake, Minnesota today over what police believed to be shots fired, but turned out to be a firecracker going off. Police were called to Highway 78 and East Bowman Street for reports of shots fired. Callers said they heard a handgun go off. When authorities arrived, they saw a suspect who then went inside a home. Police tried to get him to come out and talk, but he refused. That's when the standoff-like situation unfolded and backup was called in. Eventually, the man did peacefully leave his home and talk with authorities. That's when they learned he lit off a firecracker. Police tell Valley News Live the man will likely be cited with discharge of a firework. North Dakota native and reigning Miss America, Cara Mund, says she has been bullied, manipulated, and silenced by the pageant's current leadership, including Chairwoman Gretchen Carlson. In a letter sent out earlier today to former Miss Americans, Mund says she decided to speak out despite the risk of punishment. Mund said she's been left out of interviews, not invited to meetings, and called the wrong name. This year's competition will not include swimsuits, and pageant officials from at least 19 states have called for the current leadership to resign.
Yeah, I think my onstage question answer was just my personal opinion. I think everyone has a right to think what they want. Just the one thing is, it's important to have a spot at the negotiation table.
To read Cara Mund's full statement, click on this story on our website, valleynewslive.com. A teacher is asking for donations on Facebook to let each student in their class go home with a book from Scholastic Book Club. This post that you see on your screen is going viral, being shared thousands of times to make that goal possible. Valley News Team's Maddie Gelseth spoke to a few teachers in West Fargo who shared this post, and she shows us the idea behind the project.
For just $9, you can supply a book for a student every month of the school year. This idea of giving a book to each student is taking over Facebook. A few teachers at Independence Elementary School are seeing not only the surrounding community, but the nation come together to make this possible.
Some of the support came from Washington State, all the way over to New York, down to Florida, because my donors were family and friends from across the United States.
The goal is to take the weight off families who can't afford books for their kids and still offer their child a storybook of their own.
Every month we just want each child to have access to a new book that's theirs to read, and just not to miss out on not having that opportunity because their family can't afford it.
Thornton says families aren't worried about buying books for their kids. They're mostly worried about feeding their child. But now, with all the money that's being donated to this project, every student gets the opportunity to get a book from Scholastic's box of books.
I think that it is huge for those students to be able to have a book that is theirs to take home and to read.
One teacher said when Scholastic's box of books comes into the classroom, it's like Christmas morning for her students. And now every student gets a taste of what this feels like. Reporting for Valley News Live, I'm Maddie Gelseth.
Extra money that's raised will be dispersed to other teachers in the school who didn't raise enough for their classrooms. If you would like to donate to give a student a book every month for the entire school year, you can go to your local school or contact a teacher to find out how to do so. Today was the last day to cool off in the summer heat at the Moorhead Public Pool, and a crowd of people were taking advantage of this last day as the season comes to a close. But there is still some time to have some wet fun at other locations in the metro area before the start of the school year. The last day for wading pools in Moorhead is Sunday, but in Fargo, Park District officials say they're extending the summer swim season at Davies Pool. It'll be open through Labor Day. The 4 other outdoor pools in Fargo will close for the season, as previously announced this Sunday. Today, Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton announced that August 19th will now be considered Lindsay Whalen Day. Whalen, point guard for the Minnesota Lynx, will play her final regular season Women's National Basketball Association game at the Target Center Sunday. The 5-time WNBA All-Star announced her retirement from professional basketball earlier this week. Whalen is a native of Hutchinson, Minnesota, and attended the University of Minnesota, where she became the school's all-time leading scorer in 2004. For the 6th year, the North Dakota Horse Park here in Fargo is bringing back the Food Truck Festival. This year, over 20 different food trucks are taking part in the event, making it hard to know where to start. The event is 3 days, from August 17th to the 19th. On Friday night, there will be a hot dog competition. On Saturday, there's a Bloody Mary competition. And then on Sunday, the food vendors will take part in a Macon Bacon Challenge. Admission for the event is $2, but there is free lunch on both Friday and Saturday from 11 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon.